All right, welcome guys to the second episode in a series where I talk about movies. Not only do I review and talk about movies, I reflect on how they're relevant in today's world. Today we're going to talk about the movie Make Way Tomorrow by Leo McCarey. And has been forgotten for a variety of reasons that we'll get into shortly. Mainly when this movie is brought up, it's brought up as being the inspiration for another movie called Tokyo Story, which is regarded as one of the best movies of all time if you ask a bunch of film snobs. It's sad that it gets so overshadowed because this movie stands well on its own. The movie was written and directed by Leo McCarey. And part of the reason that the movie got buried, I think, is because later on, when the Red Scare was going on, Leo McCarey participated in participated with the House of Un-American Activities Committee. He became a staunch Republican, and that's why I think Hollywood's kind of forgotten about him a little bit. But that's kind of odd because if you watch this movie, you would think it's written by a bleedy heart liberal. The movie's about an old couple who loses their farm during the Great Depression. And this old couple who's been together for nearly half a century is forced to be separated, where one goes with one child and the other goes with another child. And part of what makes this movie so great is kind of reminds me of The Golden Girls, in that in The Golden Girls, what makes that show so funny is Estelle Getty. And what makes her performance so vibrant is that she's actually in her 50s and wears makeup to make it look like she's in her 80s. And that's the case with this movie as well. Victor Moore and Beulah Bondi, who play the prospective husband and wife, the old couple at the center of the story, were actually in their 50s when the movie was made. And because they're younger than their characters are, there's a vibrancy and a youth and a humor that they have. And speaking of humor, both these actors do not have a background in drama. They're both comedic actors, and that shows on the screen. You know, they really do a good job pulling off the whole fun grandparent role. You know, you really think that they are that person. They just do a great job portraying that person on screen. And the scenes with the grandma and the granddaughter in the movie are fantastic. It really reminded me of my grandmother and my sister acting together. And what really makes this movie stand out most of all, though, is the ending. You know, like, the ending is the first ending I've ever seen where I truly understood the term tearjerker. Because, like, honestly, I could spoil it for you by telling you exactly what happens. But even if I did that, scene by scene, word by word, told you exactly what happened, it wouldn't spoil it because they really take it to the next level through the art of acting, through the art of great directing, through the art of great music. It's one of the best endings I've ever seen and one of the most heartbreaking and savage endings I've ever seen, which is really unusual for a film of that era. Leo McCarey had to fight to get the movie that he wanted, or the ending that he wanted, rather. And it's good that he did because, man, it's so good in that it's so sad. And what I want you to take away from this is that this movie's more relevant today than ever because of the coronavirus. With the coronavirus, the elderly are one of the biggest victims of it, not only in terms of being the most likely to die, but also in terms of becoming the most isolated due to the quarantines that are necessary because of the coronavirus. According to a national poll done by the AARP, loneliness for older people has doubled since the coronavirus started, from 27% to 56%. And you can find heartbreaking story after heartbreaking story about how an older person died and their family couldn't see him, because of the restraints that had to be put in place to protect the family, or to protect the family from the virus. And the other aspect of it that I think is really interesting that also plays into the movie is that even though older people are the biggest victims of the coronavirus, it seems to me that in the media that gets pushed back by other things. Like if you Google coronavirus, like coronavirus in the elderly is buried. It's like the 9th one down, even though they're the first group of people most likely to die. Now, does that indicate that we really don't care about old people at all? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too cynical and reading into it a little bit, but it is a fact that too often in society that once people get old, we throw them away. And honestly, Make Way for Tomorrow is a great example of why you shouldn't do that. Why you should not take your loved ones for granted. Why you should appreciate them and talk to them. Especially now when there's a virus going around where they might die soon and they're living in fear. And you might not get another chance to see them. Not to sound cynical, but that's the world we're living in right now. And if you're someone who's listening to this and feels concerned for older people, there's one thing that you can do, which is become a pen pal. An organization called Ready to Care is doing a fantastic thing where they will connect you with a senior that you've never met before, and you can start writing letters to them. And if you're going to do one thing after watching this video, please go hit that place up. Hit up Ready to Care. Start writing letters to seniors you've never met before. If that sounds like too much effort, give your grandparents a call, or if you don't want to talk to them and want a more interesting conversation, give your great uncle a call that fondled you that one time at Thanksgiving. Or if you don't want to call anybody, go out and watch this movie, Make Way for Tomorrow. Because not only is it a masterpiece, it's a fucking masterpiece. Not only is it a fucking masterpiece, it's a motherfucking masterpiece. Not only is it a motherfucking masterpiece, it's a forgotten motherfucking masterpiece. That will be a little bit less forgotten if you watch it today. But again, go talk to your grandma first. All right. Thank you for listening. Bye.